All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. Going to be breaking down the 2025 Mexico Open here for you guys, touching on everything that you need to know, talking about who are going to be the top stat fits, which players have the best course history, which players we're going to be targeting outright-wise and core plays-wise. Might be a little bit different this week, actually. We're going to be talking about which players we're going to be targeting in terms of value plays, and then going to get into a first-look build for you guys for DFS, and then comparing that against the 9-to-5 lineup builder. But first, we'll go ahead and get into a quick recap from last week. All right, guys, so another solid week last week in terms of PGA DFS, going 4 for 6 now on the year with one push in terms of profitability. Very solid stretch to start of the season, which is pretty awesome because typically speaking, the start of the season is typically a higher variance part of the season, so nice to start off pretty strong. Was not on Obear outright wise. We did get really unlucky first round leader wise to not hit Seamus Power at 90-1. Both with Patrick Rogers going birdie to tie him. And then you also had Danny McCarthy ended up getting the first round lead with a birdie eagle finish. Okay, it would have been nice to at least cash Seamus Power 30-1. Yes, I'm still salty about that from Danny McCarthy, but we kind of got paid off. That's a weird way to phrase it, but we did. We got paid off in round 4, having a very solid round 4. Myself and a decent amount of other 9-to-5 members were able to take down a showdown in round 4. It was kind of a fun week in the sense that start off kind of slow and then slowly got better. Round 3 was very good. I mentioned I had a chance to take down a showdown GPP there. Round 4, very good stuff there as well. And then kind of just a safe and easy week to cash main slate wise. On top of that, guys, head-to-head bets 50% on the week, but then we did pretty well 3-ball wise. And then prize picks and underdog prop bets was really solid there as well. So hopefully we can have that here this week here with the Mexico Open, which is typically an event that I really like. These events where a lot of other people maybe are not as excited about it. They're typically pretty big edge weeks kind of because of that, because people are like, oh, there's not good players in the field. It's harder to predict. Most of the time that actually creates a pretty big edge. Most of the time, these are some of the best weeks for PGA DFS and for fantasy golf betting as well, because people think there's more uncertainty. Typically creates a pretty big edge. So I'm excited for this week. We have seen this tournament now 3 separate times, with Jake Knapp winning it last year. Okay, kind of a random outright winner there. And then we had 2 pretty predictable winners in Tony Finau and Jon Rahm. Now, I do think it's worth calling attention to the leaderboard that we had last year here. Okay, so the first 2 players on top of the leaderboard, pretty darn random. Okay, and then we had Jaeger, Justin Lauer, CT Pan, Robert McIntyre, Patrick Rogers, Andrew Novak, all players that you might have found yourself on last year. I was kind of, last year being on Stefan Jaeger as an outright bet, that was a little bit annoying, and Patrick Rogers to not hit any of those 2, 2 more random winners. But just taking a peek at kind of last year's result, it's pretty darn solid. A lot of upside in terms of the lineup approach that we were on, in terms of the player pool that we were on. And so that tells us that what we were on, what we're looking at key stat-wise, was good, and we're going to be able to do that again. Maybe refine it a little bit more, because we have only seen this tournament played 3 times now, this course played 3 times now. And so I wouldn't say we have a full data set of what truly are the key stats, especially when you have Tony Finau and Jon Rahm winning the first 2 years compared to the field that we have this year. It could skew the data a little bit just because those 2 are so much better. Like you do see that when there's a higher caliber of players in a tournament, when the course starts to play a little bit differently just because there's better players playing. That could happen, but we kind of know what we're looking at key stat-wise. But first, we'll start off with the golfers with the best course history. So we have seen a few players make multiple starts here now, which is kind of interesting. It's not exactly a tournament that everyone's gearing up to play, but you look at Patrick Rogers, 3 straight top 10 finishes. He is someone that obviously, I wouldn't say he choked away a win, but could be someone we're clicking on outright-wise. Carson Young, Jaeger again is going to be someone that's popping. CT Pan is going to be a play I like. EVR, Harry Hall has been an interesting click for us over the past few months. Probably looking at him. Grayson Sigg, pretty darn good course history there as well. So we have a lot of offers in this field that not only have played this course a lot, for only having this course 3 times, but have also played it pretty decently, or at least shown some upside as well. So it's a fun week for sure. For sure. We'll take a peek at the stat fits. And so last year we were looking at like 200 scoring that long iron accuracy. We're not doing that as much this year. We're looking at greens and regulation. We saw that pop up a little bit more last year. We're looking at par 5 scoring as well. Golfers that were scoring on the par 5s were golfers that played a little bit better. Pretty better percentage as well. That's another key stat that we're looking at. Total driving and ball striking though as well. You look at Tony Finau, Jon Rahm winning. That's not really a shock there. And then when we look at the key stats, guys, Kevin Roy is such an interesting player. I'll talk about him a little bit later on. Really good total driving, ball striking. He's scoring a decent amount. Small sample size for him, but he's an interesting click. Alex Smalley as well. Maybe not the best form, but he's going to be a player we're looking at. And so, like, outright wise, there's going to be a lot of golfers that we can consider. There's going to be about 20 golfers that I think we could potentially get to outright wise, which that's just because they're like hit or miss options. So, like for DFS, it's going to be a little bit harder. So, I'm going more of a fair and balanced approach DFS wise, and we'll show that in just a second. Because when we look at some of the golfers that are in the best form, we got 2 of them that are coming in off of missed cuts. Got Akshay as well, 7 straight made cuts for him, but not really an upside finish for him. Top 10 last week, that's about it. But he's going to be an interesting click. Harry Hall coming in off a miscut. Olsen coming in off a miscut. Then you got Bo Hosler, who you never really want to trust in. That's the main concern with this field this week, is that we have a lot of golfers that are really just not in the best form or have not shown recent spikes in their results as well. Or we have these guys on the DP Tour that maybe have been playing well there, but can we truly trust them as well? So a lot of interesting plays this week. Then lastly, we'll take a peek at that specialist data. That's pulling in all the unique characteristics for that week's tournament and putting it into one data point, the specialist data. And again, like the players that are going to be good plays are going to be the good specialists, which is nice. So you got Akshay, Jaeger, Harry Hall, Patrick Rogers, Aaron Rai, Bo Hosler, Ben Griffin, Olison there, and then Kurt Kitayama. So a lot of the players that we're going to be on are going to be popping up here as well. Now, again, I like to keep the specialist data all into kind of one unique data point. I don't need you guys sorting through this stuff. I like to curate it for you guys so that you guys can just see it, use that data point, and go from there. A lot of time people just like to use this stuff for fun content, which I get. That's fun. Don't get too carried away with that. It's nice to look at, but we don't need to go crazy with that. So with that, guys, let's go ahead now and jump on into the high tiers. So yes, the class of the field is going to be Akshay Bhatia. Oh, butcher that last name. With Maverick McNeely deciding to withdraw. And so we look at Akshay. He is someone that has made a start here at this tournament with a top 5 finish there, which we like to see. Key stat-wise, not exactly the best. Total driving, ball striking could be better, but he is someone that has played a little bit more difficult events as well. Farmers, Waste Management, AT&T Pebble Beach. So we kind of graded with a grain of salt there a little bit, but still pretty darn good form. 7 straight make cuts in a row in tougher events as well, coming in off of a very good finish last week. He came through for us round 4 showdown as well. That was nice. He is the best specialist. Still not a terrible stat fit. Top 15 in the field there. Course history rank with that 1 start. Top 5 recent form. Top 3. So he's just coming in, checking all the boxes. You can get him at 16-1 on a lot of books, and I think that's going to be a great option for us. From there, I really could argue a bunch of these golfers. The one play I'm getting to the most is going to be the one golfer that is going to be considered a good outright bet. And I want to call this out. So we got the outright tag. These are typically the good outright bets. Just looking at the past year's data, what would make a traditional good outright bet? Okay. And so the interesting thing here is that last week, we had a bunch of good outright bets on paper. One thing that I saw last year is that when we have a week with a lot of good outright bets, it typically leads to more predictability, which, again, in hindsight, probably why we had a good week last week. And so the fact that we only have one, good outright bet might point to this being a more high variance week, which I hope it is, because I do think that can create a big edge. And so I'm kind of okay with that. And I do want to call out Sam Stevens. So he's a golfer that is getting knocked because of that miscut at this event last year, but like he made a start here. I'm like, I would rather see him miss a cut and make a start. We know that that's pretty relevant in terms of course history, in terms of being productive in the next start. And so I like to see that actually he's a good stat fit across the board, top 5 stat fit, top 8 in recent form rank. He fell off there in round 4. Last week, guys, it actually seemed like for a quick hot second, I think it was like -3 at one point on Sunday. I'm like, could he make a push? Could he do what Maverick McNeely ultimately ended up doing? He did not. He ended up finishing terribly, but still very good results there. We have seen him be right around that leaderboard. It would not be shocking to see him win. You can get him at 22-1. Again, we're going to have a lot of golfers we can consider as outright bets, but he does feel like a good DFS play. He is priced up a bit, obviously, but I think we're okay with that. And in terms of like core plays, guys, we have one, and that is Akshay as well. So again, probably going to lead to a little bit more variance this week. So let's continue on the list. We have Patrick Rogers, Stefan Jaeger, Aaron Rai, Harry Hall, all 4 just great clicks. Okay, again, that's the tough part this week. It's like, which plays do we go in on? Honestly, I don't think we really know the answer to that. If we can fit maybe all 4 of them, sure, let's do that. I feel pretty good about that. In terms of outright, though, I think we could make a case for all 4 of them. Okay, so already we have like 6 good outright bets. And so that's the difficult part this week is that I think we're probably going to be kicking ourselves outright wise, like if we don't end up on the winner, because we're getting a decent amount of them. And that's definitely just the interesting part of this week. Now, Harry Hall is the one play I'm getting to probably the most, just because it's the cheapest, just because we can get him at 30-1 as well, 33-1. Yeah, on Unibet. I know not a lot of people are betting there, but BetMGM, you can get him there as well. So has made 2 starts here, 33rd and 10th place finishes there. Okay stat fit across the board, first in par 5 scoring, making greens as well, 17th there. So fine there. He is coming in off of that miscut at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Had been kind of just on the tail end of that, where his form was descending. So 8th at the STOC, 10th at the Sony, American Express, 21st. So it's been getting worse. But we have seen this a few times last year, where a golfer like Harry Hall would be someone that, it was probably right around a win, maybe a little bit of a letdown there, then had a little bit of a downward spiral, and then saw that spike week and ended up winning. That could be in the cards for him here. Don't mind him. But again, it's so difficult to say which one of those golfers we should be on. Same thing for Beau Hossler here as well. Beau Hossler, at this cheap price tag, does feel good. Now, Beau Hossler is one of those golfers that whenever I personally trust him, he seems to blow up, and so I don't exactly love recommending him. Not the best stat in the field, 44th in the field, so pretty ugly there. But he has been in pretty darn good form, so 6th best in the field, guys, form-wise. Again, he is someone that did have a bad start recently at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, but then a 32nd place finish at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Pretty good results at the Farmers and American Express, so not terrible there. Does have course experience with top 10 finish here 2 years ago, so not terrible there. But that's the tough part about the high tier. I really don't see a bad play in the high tier. Okay, so that's the difficult part. Typically we can just narrow it down and be on good plays and be on safe plays. It's not exactly the case this week. Now we can just jump down into the mid tier maybe instead and just go with these plays instead, because we look at someone like Kevin Yu, guys. Kevin Yu going to be a good stat fit, a golfer that kind of fits the bill of someone that could play well here and pop well here. For him, it typically just depends on his putting though. Okay, 79th in the field putting over his last 3 starts, 83rd in the field, so obviously not that good there. Actually does get a little bit of a bump here with these greens, the Paspalum greens, so not terrible there. It is a good stat fit in terms of total driving, ball striking, scoring, so we like that there from him. Recent form, he is someone that can get hot. Let's just put it that way. He's someone that can get hot. 11th at the RSM Classic, and then we see 2 top 20 finishes there in a row. And if you were to, let's say, adjust that for this field, that'd be about a top 12 finish. So I don't hate him. He's a solid play. We're going on to Alex Smalley, who's going to be the best staff in the field. He's a golfer that has popped here at this course before, 3 starts at this course as well. He's someone that has been playing better golf as well recently. Look at the recent form, 21st, miscut, 11th, 16th. So kind of varying results, but we do see that upside. Again, going to the hit or miss nature of this week. He's a perfect example of that. Jake Knapp, the defending champ, is actually not terrible in this week. 4 straight make cuts, defending champ, don't mind that. Justin Lauer, a golfer who has kind of fallen off a little bit, actually. So Farmers had a terrible result there. AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, 62nd there. Prior to that, pretty good results. Okay, he had a good fall swing. I kind of read it as him coming back to the norm, if you will, but he did have a 3rd place finish at this tournament last year. Does rank out as a top 10 specialist, so it's not like he is a decent play for this course. But one play that does feel to me the most mispriced is going to be CT Pan. This is one that I've gone on as the day has progressed here, guys. CT Pan just across the board seems like someone we can get to outright wise, 55-1 on some sites, which to me seems pretty darn crazy for him. Okay, he's coming in with good course history, a 3rd and a top 30 finish. Okay, and 2 starts here, so very good stuff there. Key stat wise, pretty strong across the board. Overall ranking top 5. Recent form could be better. Like we go back to the fall, not the best stuff there, but in 2 starts thus far this season, 21st at the Sony, and then 57th at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So I'm okay with that. We are still getting him with limited starts, only 2 starts now this season. That is a concern, and that could lead to a higher variance this week, where we are going to be targeting golfers that maybe don't have that many starts thus far this season on the PGA Tour. And this next golfer is going to fall into that criteria as well, Grayson Sigg. So he's looked good thus far this season. We like the results, especially over the last 2, I should say. 32nd and 9th place finish at the Farmers. Grayson Sigg has finished top 20 the last 2 years at this course, and then 33rd, so decent stuff there. Fine Stafford, I mean 42nd. The thing with Grayson's sake is he's just a good enough play across the board at a solid price tag. 55 to 1. Again, there's so many good options outright wise that we can get to. I think he's a great DFS option for us at this price tag. Both him and CT Pan feel like both safe plays at their price tags that will allow you to pay up for some of the better options this week as well. So guys, we're jumping down into the low tier, or the sleepers if you want to call them that. Ryan Gerard, he is another interesting click. You know, we look at the form, was kind of bad during the fall swing. Sony Open 37th, American Express 51st, Farmers 15th. So 3 straight make cuts thus far in 2025. Made his cut at this tournament 2 years ago, his only start here, 33rd place finish. Pretty good stat fit as well, top 7 stat fit. You get him at 80 to 1 on PointsBet. That's pretty crazy to me. And so I mean, this is a week, guys, where if you are betting, I think it's a good week to potentially, and this is not something I encourage, but we are going to see a lot of varying lines. It wouldn't be a bad week to chase some good odds like this. You know, we have on one site 55 to 1 BetMGM, which we already saw them have one of the worst odds forget whoever golfer it was. And then on FanDuel 80 to 1, like that's pretty crazy. Okay, that should not be happening. That's kind of the approach I would say with this week. Definitely make sure you're making the best bets possible for each golfer, but he is at a very solid price tag. Kevin Roy is going to be an interesting click here as well. So he withdrew from his most recent event at the Farmers. We don't know why. Okay, Kevin Roy, if you're watching this, tell us in the comment section below. He's not watching this. But, I mean, we see some upside, guys. Okay, so over his past 7 starts, top 10, top 12, okay, 2 starts that he didn't withdraw on, 18th and 45th. So good stuff there. Stat fit-wise, guys, so far this year, raced out first in ball striking, first in total driving, par 5 scoring, top 5 there, birdie better percentage, top 10. Okay, so pretty darn good stuff there. Kevin Roy, we look at it like all of his other data points that we're looking at here as well. I mean, pretty good across the board. Long iron accuracy, that could be the concern. That was a key stat that I was looking at last year. Could be a concern there. We might point back to that. That could be the reason he might not end up being a good play, but finished top 20 at this tournament 2 years ago. To get him at 70 to 1 on some sites, I don't hate that. I was actually thinking we would get longer odds on him. It's kind of crazy that he's only like 55. What is his average odds? 63 to 1 on average. That's a little crazy to me. Then another decent sleeper option is going to be more of a DP Tour player. We look at some of his starts recently. They've all been pretty darn solid. He's played well thus far on the PGA Tour as well. Manacero, is that right? Decent stat fit. I mean, not terrible. Top 30 in the field. We don't really have specialist data on him because, well, I don't draft it for the DP Tour. Okay, it's mostly just how do they play, strokes gained, average finish. Where PGA Tour events, I'm obviously dialing in as much as possible. That would just take too much time. But he's a decent play at a cheap price tag. I could see him making the cut and continuing that good golf that he's been playing. All right, so we're going to start off here in the value tier range with Ben Coles, the golfer that cost me 6 for 6 with the big tees by making an eagle on 17 and then making a bogey on 18 to cost me 6 for 6 2 weeks ago. And honestly, guys, this is going to sound crazy. I actually don't. I mean, 170 or 175 to 1 is pretty crazy, okay, for him. Okay, I kind of mentioned Kevin Roy as a potential option. He's a good stat fit. Ben Coles is a pretty good stat fit as well. Recent form obviously missed the cut in his last event. Prior to that, had been playing decent golf. Course history, missed the cut at this event last year. I don't know, did he drink the water or was he just playing terribly? That's always the joke in Mexico, like whatever. But he has course experience here, made the cut here 3 years ago at this event. Like just the number, again, compare BetMGM 125 to 1 to 175 to 1. I mean, that's crazy. Again, like I typically don't encourage this. I just say place the best bets possible each and every week. The issue this week is that there's plenty of decent golfers that you could talk yourself into, especially when you look at the variance in the lines. And so I don't mind Ben Coles at 175 to 1. That's pretty darn crazy. So for him, DFS-wise, I do think he's going to be someone that does give us a decent chance at least making the cut at a cheap price tag. And then, guys, there's plenty of other golfers that I could get into value play-wise and even sleeper-wise. But with that, let's go ahead and actually just get into the core plays for this week. If you guys are enjoying this video, make sure to give a like to the video. If you guys are new to the channel or watch some videos and you haven't subscribed yet, do so as well. That does help out the channel a decent amount. Obviously been crushing it thus far this season. Hopefully we continue that this week. And with that, let's get into the core plays. So core play number one is going to be Akshay. You guys probably could have guessed it. Just the class of the field. Very good form. Fourth for his only course history here, but top 20 stat fit. You can get him at 16-1 on most books, but I just think he's the correct play at a cheap price, or not a cheap price tag, but the correct play. Should be a safe play for us. His form has been trending as well. The second core play is going to be maybe a surprise, CT Pan. Okay, and so this is an interesting part of this week is that maybe I don't necessarily like him as much as an outright bet as some of the other golfers that I've already talked about being good outright bets that are priced a little bit higher than him, but at the same time, he does feel pretty cheap. And thus far, this 2025 season, 57th and 21st place finish. When we saw him in the fall swing, he had a 6th and 23rd place finish as well. He's going to be a golfer that ranks out as the top 5 stat fit, good course history as well with the 3rd and 29th place finish. Overall, he is a solid play at a cheap price tag. The next one, Kevin Roy. Risky here. Okay, so this is one where we had this question actually last week. Someone was wondering, you have a golfer listed as a core play in the video, but in the write-up, he's not a core play. It's probably going to happen with Kevin Roy, honestly, where I like Kevin Roy, given his price tag. He is a player that I think we're going to be going out of our way to target. But if we don't get any information on why he withdrew, I probably will naturally knock him to like a mid-exposure play. As it sits right now, he is a player that I wanted to call out. Okay, 70-1 on Bovada feels pretty good. Good stat fit. He's striking the ball extremely well right now. Has a top 20 finish at this tournament. Solid form other than that withdrawal, so I'm perfectly fine with him as a play as it sits right now. But again, that could change. Then get into the last play, Ryan Girard. You can get him at 80-1 on PointsBet as an outright bet. Recent form's been solid. 2 top 20 finishes, 4 straight mid-cuts. Course history has it. 33rd place finish, top 10 stat fit. So pretty good play across the board. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and try to close out this first look build. And then we'll show you guys what the 9-5 lineup builder is going to tell us is a good build as well. So Grayson Sig right in there. Okay, that fits pretty good in there. And then from there, who can we get to? I mean, you could just naturally go Ryan Fox. I don't hate that. Charlie Hoffman's a good GPP option. Andrew Putnam's a player that I always like being on. Yeah, I want to say it's probably Andrew Putnam closing this out. I feel pretty good about that. But let's see what it looks like. Maybe taking off Akshay. Even at that price, like obviously I really like him as a play. But if we go fair and balanced, if we go Harry Hall here, and then we could easily just get in. I was hoping we could get to Jaeger. That's fine. Like 200, whatever, that's fine. We could get to Aaron Ryan said, Michael Cam, Bo Hosler. I'm kind of fine with that as well. So that's going to be the interesting part about this week is kind of getting unique with that lineup approach. All right, guys, so we are going to go ahead and get into the lineup builder, seeing what the data is telling us is going to be the top build. So I'm just bumping the first 2 players up slightly here. We need to give 2 data points for the lineup builder to work. So we'll click generate here so you guys can see. And again, this is just to get the general feel of maybe the week and see how it compares against my thoughts. And for the most part, somewhat on par. Ice Hogard and Olison a little bit more. Alex Moy, I think, is a good GPP option. Heck, a good outright bet there as well. It is kind of spreading out a decent amount here. 90%, 95%. I'm not getting that. Obviously, this is just a dry run here, just to get a good example. So a little bit different. I don't think I'm going to be getting that much of Hogard or Smalley. I think they're GPP plays or Olison. But it is going more of a fair and balanced approach with Jaeger, Hall. So it's not getting to Akshay as much, even though Akshay already was projected to be one of the best plays by far. And so that more speaks volumes to the rest of the plays a little bit lower on. That the data maybe doesn't like as much. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want access to the 9-5 cheat sheet, to all the prop tools that are available for Prize Picks and Underdog, that include all the fantasy golf tools as well. You guys can get access to all the best bets each and every week for head-to-head bets, placement bets, find the best odds. Head on over to 9-5sports.com, get access to all the tools on the website for just $10 a month. Guys, great value. Take advantage of that. And obviously, we took down Showdown in round 4. If you guys are wondering why I quit doing Showdown videos, kind of because of that. I'm going to keep doing them, but about 3 years ago, I stopped doing them. Everyone seemed to have a good week with the Showdown picks there. It's kind of annoying, but good stuff there through and through. Happy to help. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.